Well, howdy partners, and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our reaction to sprint qualifying, as my computer makes a loud noise. Ignore that if you don't mind. Before we get into all of this, remember to like and subscribe, and a big shout out to our members, Dakota, The Joyous James, Robin Myers, and Cinnamon Strudel. Right, here we are, sprint qualifying for the Texas Grand Prix. And it's the USA Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. And this is an intriguing one because we have got a few teams fighting at the front of the grid. We've got a whole load of upgrades that have come in. McLaren have brought loads of upgrades. Red Bull have brought a couple. Mercedes have brought loads of upgrades. Aston have got stuff. Haas have got stuff. Even Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber have got stuff. So a grid which looks like it could be ever evolving as we go out throughout the session. But what we learned here from this session so far this weekend is it is incredibly close at the front of the grid. That's what we took away from the free practice session as well, from earlier today, that we have a very close grid at the front between the McLarens, Red Bulls, Ferraris and Mercedes. It seemed like you never truly knew which one was going to be on top. If anything, the only car that I don't think has topped the session was the McLaren. I might be wrong on that in terms of like SQ1 and SQ2, but I don't think a McLaren has topped the session yet. I'm going to double check in the background, but that's how I see it thus far. Let's get into this then with SQ1. There's a huge queue at the end of the pit lane because everyone just wanting to get out as soon as they possibly can. Get a lap time in. These sprint qualifying sessions have shorter time for them, so there's a lot less time to get your lap time in. And if a red flag or a yellow flag came out, then you're in trouble. I've just double checked, everyone. McLaren have not topped the session yet this weekend. I was right. There we go. Moving on. So, yes, and also it's the return of our good old friend, track limits. Now, track limits have always been a thing here at this race. We normally get a bit of snitch watch in the races when we hear guys go, oh my god, he's just gone over the white line at turn 6, or something along those lines. But we get track limits back again. A few lap times being deleted throughout the session. The first victim of this was Sergio Perez, saw his first lap time in SQ1 being deleted. As we go further throughout this session with 2 minutes to go, just to show how close it is at the front of the grid, the top 4 were separated by 0.079. This was Hamilton in P1, Leclerc P2, Verstappen P3, Lando Norris in 4th, all separated by less than a tenth of a second. Meanwhile, further down the grid, it was a huge spin for Alex Albon. He does well to save it, manages to get the car pointing in the right direction, but at that point in time, that lap is ruined, and there wasn't enough time for him to set another one, so he was out from there. But the big shock out in SQ1 was Oscar Piastri. Now, he did set a lap time that was good enough, but yet again, another visit from our good old friend Track Limits as he's going into the second to last curve. There is the little bit of a straight, went far too much over. Track limits from there, lap time deleted. He will start tomorrow's sprint race from 16th place. As for the rest who were knocked out, it was Zhou last yet again. Valtteri Bottas in 19th. Alexander Albon having to settle for 18th after that spin. Esteban Ocon was in 17th. And then, as I said, Oscar Piastri in 16th place. As we go into SQ2, a more uneventful session in terms of what happened throughout the session, all the real drama coming towards the end, including Fernando Alonso. Now, he had a lap time which is only good enough for 12th, so he was out either way, but he was another one who got hit by those track limits, and he only set one lap time. A lot of drivers only setting the one lap time in SQ2. Alonso a victim of that, so with no lap time, Alonso starts tomorrow's sprint from 15th. Then it's his teammates Lance Stroll in 14th, Pierre Gasly is in 13th, and Liam Lawson, his first race back, he will start from 12th. So a decent performance from Liam Lawson, who I think has got a huge grid penalty for the main race itself. So this will be his best starting position of the weekend in P12. I was going to say the big shock here, but it's not really a shock at this point. Sergio Perez was out in SQ2. He will start from 11th place. There was a possible impeding on Gasly, blocking Colapinto, but the stewards looked at it and said that it was okay. I mean, realistically, if that had been Colapinto's fast lap and it would have stopped him from going into Q3, then maybe there'd be a bit more drama here. I know that's not how the stewards are supposed to work, but unfortunately it is. As we go into SQ3 now, only enough time for everyone to realistically only set one lap time, and there's a bit of a difference in terms of where people decide they're going to go. Both Mercedes drivers go early, as does Franco Colapinto in the Williams. Colapinto suffers a spin here, which seems to mess up Hamilton a little bit. There was a yellow flag whilst he was out on the track, but Hamilton had more troubles than just that one yellow flag. Really seemed to be struggling with the car in general on the soft tyres. As we finish the session, Colapinto does eventually set an okay lap time, but is only good enough for P10. I mean, realistically, P10 is still a fantastic result for him considering his teammate is starting 18th. Colapinto yet again doing very well there. Yuki Tsunoda is in 9th, Kevin Magnussen in 8th, Lewis Hamilton having to settle for P7. Not great from Hamilton. He was not happy at all with that lap time. Nico Hülkenberg, a fantastic P6. Hülkenberg yet again showing how fantastic he is in qualifying. Carlos Sainz starts in 5th, and Crofty said again and again and again and again and again and again and again that Carlos Sainz has started every sprint this year from 5th, and he will do so again. Lando Norris can only settle for P4 this weekend. Charles Leclerc in P3, and Leclerc had some trouble as well. We saw a replay of him going through Sector 1 and, was really bouncing over the curves a little bit there, was not fully in control of the car, but still got P3. I mean, without that, he would have easily been on pole. For me, the Ferrari has looked the quickest car this weekend, but very much like in Singapore, where Ferrari looked quick all weekend, once it gets to Q3, it kind of got thrown out of the window yet again. Hopefully, they'll be looking to rectify that throughout the sprint and the main qualifying tomorrow. George Russell is in P2 by 0.012. Now, track evolution, of course, is a thing. Less so at this point of the session because, we've had quite a bit of lap time at this point. But you've got to think that maybe if Mercedes had decided to put the cars out in the later half of the session, maybe they could have got traffic, but that track evolution surely would have helped with that 0.012, and Russell maybe could have had pole today. But alas, no. The sprint pole goes to Max Verstappen. He'll be leading the grid in the sprint race, the first time he's been at the front of the grid since Imola. Now, he did have the pole in Spa, but with a grid penalty, he had to drop down to 11th. So this is the first time he'll start a race at the front of the grid since Imola. A very, very, very long time here. So, advantage Max Verstappen for this weekend so far. And we've been speaking a lot about, is a title battle on, what can Lando do, that kind of thing. But what you've got to remember here as well is, as we've seen throughout all of these sessions, this is not just Max Verstappen versus Lando Norris. This is not like in 2021 when it was, the top two were often Verstappen and Hamilton. It was those two battling it out. That's not how this season has worked at all. Because we've got the likes of your Ferraris up there. We've got the Mercedes up there as well. When Piastri is not getting his lap times deleted, he's normally up involved in that as well. So, it's not just a battle between these two. They have to fight the guys around them. And Lando Norris, obviously early days, and everything can change as we go throughout the sessions this weekend. But from this qualifying session, in a battle between the two of them, Max Verstappen will be on pole, Lando Norris will be 4th. So, of course, it could go completely on its head starting from tomorrow, and Lando could go on to dominate the rest of the weekend. But as of right now, it is advantage Max Verstappen for this weekend at the United States Grand Prix. So there you go. Oh my God, my throat is going. It's far too late. I want to go to bed. we'll be back tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'm going to be here for the sprint race itself, but I will definitely be here for main qualifying this time tomorrow. There will be a video on the sprint race at some point throughout the weekend, so subscribe for that. Let me know what you think of this qualifying. Red Bull, they're not the fastest car here this weekend at all, but that was a very good lap from Max. It'll be interesting to see if we can pull that off consistently throughout the sprint race tomorrow and get that win. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting one to see, and I can't wait to talk about it with you right here. I will see you then. Until next time, have a good one. Goodbye.